What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're going back to the Mushroom Cup and taking a look at its least fun course at its fastest speed, Water Park at 200cc. On April 30th, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 14.188 seconds by the Japanese player Naoto. Fast forward to September 25th, 2021, and the record was brought down to 1 minute 10.979 seconds by the Spanish player Alberto. That's a 3.2 second improvement between records and a 4.3% faster time. Our former world record holder Naoto has broken 16 world records across 6 unique runs and has spent only 14 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Alberto is up to nearly 800 world records broken across basically 69 unique runs and has spent nearly 1,500 days holding at least one of his 38 current world records, a number that will most certainly change before this video comes out. At pre-release, the world record sat comfortably at a 115 mid, and it didn't take that long to get under 114 and 113 thanks to Naoto, Doodle, and a few other players. After Yuzu put up the first 112, British players Velocity and Ryan5 got into it and traded records all the way down to this 112.2. Shortly after that battle, Jimmy took over and brought the record down to 111 for the first time, and his 111.8 would stand as the record for over 220 days. In September of 2018, Doodle came back to beat Jimmy's time and took the record down to 111.6 before Australian player Anthony and German player 3Up swapped records for a brief moment. One of those records stood for over 330 days. Now in 2020, it was Alberto's turn to take this record for himself. He ran into 3Up briefly before taking the record down to 111.2. At that moment, Themo stepped in and shaved just a few hundredths of a second off the current world record. After that, Alberto started to motion glide his way down to the ever so elusive 110 mark. In total, the record was broken 71 times by 17 different players. These loadouts are another example of the evolution of 8 Deluxe time trial combos. Naoto goes with Wario driving the Comet bike with the Mercedes GLA tires and the Super Glider. Alberto uses his brain and goes with Wario driving the Biddy Buggy with the Azure rollers and the Paper Glider. Now, these stats are more well matched than I would have thought. Naoto clearly has the tire top speed, which at 200cc isn't a bad thing, but Alberto runs away with overall performance thanks to those higher acceleration and mini turbo stats. The only thing slightly comparable is the handling, which for this course is going to become more handy than you might think. As for the course itself, Water Park just isn't all that fun. It's really just 2 right turns, a long anti-grav loop, and then another right turn before flying into a Ferris wheel to end each lap. The time trial may only be impressive at world record pace, so let's just dive into it. Naoto starts off with a rocket start and bears left for the coins before drifting around the first turn and getting a super mini turbo. After that, he drifts around the next turn to carry another one of those into S2. Alberto uses his mushroom out of the gate and drifts towards the left for those same coins and continues to charge up his super mini turbo around that turn. He too will then start drifting into the second turn for a mini turbo that he'll get in S2. Not too much difference here aside from the mushroom at the start, as both players get ready to grab another mini turbo into S2, where Alberto already leads by nearly 7/10 of a second. After carrying this drift off the ramp and into the water for a super mini turbo, Naoto hits this loop on a very tight line, which will result in an ultra mini turbo as he makes his way into S3. Alberto carries his drift off the ramp and into the water for the ultra mini turbo before similarly going on a tight line around the loop for another ultra mini turbo. Towards the end of S2, however, he starts charging up another drift for S3. That extra ultra mini turbo off the ramp really helped Alberto grow his lead further. That's because the cumulative extra boost he got from both mini turbos creates a larger gap between him and Naoto, a gap that now sits at over a second going into S3. Naoto goes straight and uses his first mushroom to cut through the underwater equivalent of off-road. He follows that up with a brake drifted super mini turbo before tricking off the glider and flying on down to the finish line to close out the lap. Alberto grabs that quick mini turbo and hops around a bit before going super tight around the next turn for the super mini turbo. No trick off the glider as he just flies gently down to the finish line. Surprisingly, Alberto skipping the shortcut on lap 1 didn't lose him any time. It was faster to drift around those turns the way he did, and his lead certainly benefited from it. He's up on Naoto by over 1.1 seconds after one lap. Naoto makes a slight change in S1 by only getting the normal mini-turbo around the first turn. After that, he starts charging up his mini-turbo he'll carry off the ramp into S2. Alberto, now on the right side, charges up his super mini-turbo around the first turn before he starts charging up another mini-turbo that he'll carry off the ramp as well. Not too much to highlight here, except Alberto was able to build his lead by another 0.2 of a second as he goes up by 1.3 seconds at the end of S1. Naoto carries that same super mini turbo to the start of the loop underwater. At that point, he hits the same tight ultra mini turbo around the loop as he makes his way into S3. Alberto carries his ultra mini turbo off the ramp to the base of the loop and then goes for this tight drift, resulting in another ultra mini turbo as he makes his way around. To close out S2, he starts drifting a little earlier and bangs off the wall to get a quick mini turbo and better positioning for a reason that'll make sense here in a moment. Pretty similar approaches from both racers through S2 again, but with Alberto getting 2 longer lasting ultra mini turbos on a slightly better line, he was able to increase his lead over Naoto to 1.8 seconds at the end of S2. S3 for Naoto starts with him using his second mushroom to cut out this turn again and get the super mini turbo around the next turn before tricking off the glider. One smooth flight later and he's back on the ground about to cross the finish line to close out this lap. Alberto realigns himself to take that same shortcut by using his second mushroom. He then charges up this ultra mini turbo off the glider for a motion glider strat. I was sort of able to recreate this so you can see what's going on. After charging up the ultra mini turbo, Alberto will pause the game to turn on motion controls before flicking his controller to the left and then turning the controls back off for his descent. That time, he added way more to his lead than lap 1, and he goes up by over 2.1 seconds after outsplitting Naoto by 1 second. For his final lap, Naoto gets the quick mini turbo and follows that up with a super one off of the ramp. He chains that with his tight long ultra mini turbo around the ramp before using his final mushroom to cut out this turn and get another super mini turbo. After one last trick off the glider, he flies on down to the finish line to close out the race. Alberto starts off his final lap with a long super mini turbo around the first turn before chaining the ultra one off the ramp all the way down to the base of the loop. Once there, he charges up his own long tight ultra mini turbo to get around it. He then enters S3 fresh off a quick mini turbo as he uses his final mushroom to take that same shortcut on his way to an ultra mini turbo motion glider. He then flies on down on this weird line to close out the race. A race he won by a lot as he posted a time that was 3.2 seconds faster than Naoto's former world record. So by getting longer lasting mini turbos, taking slightly better lines, and motion glider, Alberto was able to cap off his 6th consecutive record on this run and got that elusive second break he was after. This is his second record in that span to last for over 230 days, and it's likely that it's going to last a lot longer. How much faster can it get is the real question. The best known splits for this run show that Alberto has optimized this record really well. He owns all 3 of the best known laps, and each of his world record laps is insanely close to them. Laps 1 and 2 are no more than 2 frames away, and lap 3 is where he could improve the most, and it's only by 3 frames. To have a world record be less than a tenth away from the best known sum time is extremely impressive, and it speaks to the dedication Alberto had to bring this record down to not only 110, but as close as it can be to perfect. Hard to believe a 0.8 would come from anyone else but him. The worldwide top 10 consists of 8 national and 4 continental record holders. Alberto sits at the top with the only 110 in the world. Thimo is a bit over 2/10 back in second, and a 10th behind him is French record holder Army. Eternal X and 3UP go 4 and 5, separated by just 3 1,000ths of a second. The bottom 5 of this leaderboard share 6 100ths of a second in separation and include Asian record holder Yoshi, Panda, Storb, Bup, and Genzua for admin. Having a 2+ tenth of a second lead usually means your world record is pretty strong, and if you're Alberto, that makes it double strong. Thimo or Army could potentially take this world record, however, or at the very least get under 111 and challenge him, but I wouldn't bet that's going to happen anytime soon. That's the end of episode 74. Hope you found it interesting. Be sure to tune in next week as we wrap up the Star Cup by taking a look at the only world record there we haven't covered yet. I'll leave you to guess which one that is. If you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends and comment on which course you'd like me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.